Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with Demon Slayer. Last time around we had Gathering, where all the boys met up and they started taking on the sibling duo of the demons. So yeah, Zenitsu and Inosuke are fighting Daki, while Uzui and Tanjiro are fighting Shaggy. It's Gyotaro, right? We'll just call him Shaggy, whatever. And then one of Uzui's wives showed up and launched some kunai, not with chain though, unfortunately. But what it does have is Wisteria, which has allowed them to cut off Shaggy's legs and have him not regenerate. And yeah. And I think where we left off, it looked like Tanjiro might be about to cut off Shaggy's head. So, yeah. That was pretty much that. Like always, the reaction is down in the description and the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. So why don't we just go ahead and jump right into this episode of Demon Slayer. Here we go. I love the dedication to keeping the... they didn't even mention it in this one, but the Taisho era secret, section. It makes me curious if I went back to episode, because I'd missed all of them in season 1. So I'd be curious as to watch them in season 1. Like, even just like episode 1, it's like, now for a Taisho era secret. My family's dead. See you next time, But I like that even here, it's like, it's the same, surroundings, it's the dark buildings and the moonlight, but I love just almost the not animation, just the very, stilted moving around, and it's just, never give up. Come back next week, because what are we gonna do, make a joke here, This freaking guy, man. This freaking Shaggy guy. He just will not stay down. I don't think Inosuke is going to die here. I'm going to say that he missed all of his vital organs, Although, it's really close. But man, it's just looking over and it's like, we lost an arm. And the poison. Oh, he's dying. And it's like, and he escaped. And it's just, It's just so terrible, man. We did have... Man, I hope this doesn't become a thing where every time Tanjiro and the gang team up with a Hashira, they end up dying. I sincerely hope not. I hope that's not a thing now. But it's not looking good for Uzui. But yeah, just that whole thing with Hinatsuru where it's like, oh, how about after we defeat an upper-ranked demon, how about we settle down and live life as civilians? Like, dead. One of you is dead. Probably you, but at least one of you is dead. Oh, it's so terrible. So I guess that's the interesting thing. That's their dynamic, is you have, the shy, bashful, cute one. Well, they're all cute. So you have the shy and bashful one. You have the sort of the tsundere angrier one, and then you have the sweet sentimental one. But that's the thing. Like, in both of those scenes, like, oh, can I have that petal? This is the only petal that I want. And it's like, it's just like, all right, like, enough with the freaking. Like, lay off the sugar, will ya? It's a little too sweet, And then, yeah, just the whole thing of, it's like they're just having a good time, and it's like, oh, why don't we settle down after we defeat an upper-ranked demon? Like, dead! Someone is going to die then. That is a red flag right there, Hinatsuru. Oh, boy. So some good stuff happened. And I don't mean, something good happened in this episode, but, good things in terms of the plot, Tanjiro has adapted to using both sun breathing and water, which is good. Use water breathing to make the Hinokami Kagura more defensive, and use the Hinokami Kagura to make water breathing more offensive, which is an interesting thing, because it's like, yeah, unless you master water breathing like Tomioka, it just doesn't fully, like, you just can't utilize it to its full extent, obviously, but it's interesting. It's just he can't figure out how to go on the offensive with water breathing in the same way that Tomioka could, But I like that. I like that sort of distinction between them too, Because, I mean, that's a classic thing of, oh, I inherited the power system that my master gave me, but I'm going to take things my own way, I prefer that, It's the same thing. I'm actually going to say something positive about My Hero Academia, which has been rare pretty recently. But that's kind of what I enjoy about Deku, when he does come up with newer fighting techniques like, Shoot Style or Air Force, as opposed to All Might, whose main attack was just punch him. And if that doesn't work, punch him again, And it's similar here, where it's like, yeah, he can't use water breathing to its full extent like Tomioka. And granted, Tomioka didn't teach him, Urokodaki did. But it's safe to assume Urokodaki was also a master water breather and taught Tomioka. So, but still, it's like, these two are masters of water breathing. With Tomioka even creating the 11th form, Something that, quite easily took out one of the 12 Kizuki. Granted, one of the lower ranks, but still. He just so easily dispatched Rui, Which, it makes me curious. Okay, we'll get into that. So, I like the idea that Tanjiro now has to adapt it. Like, he has his thing, which was Hinokami Kagura, which was from his father, but he's adapting that onto what he knows, Which you could even say that's kind of like Avatar, The Last Airbender, where it's like, you have Aang, who, has all of these, he has all 4 elements, but he was obviously raised an airbender, so he has to, he does have to adapt to the new styles for those bending forms, but he can also adapt different things within that. I guess that's not even Aang, because that's a thing that Iroh comes up with the lightning redirection. He figured it out after watching Waterbenders. So I like that idea of adapting water and sun breathing to sort of complement each other and basically make up for the problems that Tanjiro has. He can't figure out how to make water more offensive, but he can't figure out how to make Hinokami Kagura more defensive, So I like that. Now, going back to Tomioka, it does sort of make me curious because, I mean, I think we can pretty much assume that if, what was his name? Rengoku. I almost forgot his name for a second. I'm just so focused on Uzui. But I think it's safe to assume that Uzui, both of them, Uzui and Rengoku, would have no trouble with the train demon that was on that was a part of the Mugen train, and also Rui, that should be no trouble to them, in a similar way that Daki was no trouble to Uzui, if it was just Daki, that's fine, he took her out, pretty immediately. The problem now is Shaggy, which is just what I'm going to call him. But yeah, so, but I'm curious as to, where all the Hashira, rank, Because we also had that scene last episode where Uzui's like, oh, you think I'm the one with talent, You should see the other Hashira, The other Hashira are the ones with real talent, So I would be curious as to sort of a hierarchy, of the strongest of the Hashira, Because I also thought in this episode, just because there is that flash in the credits to the Master, as he, before both of his eyes were basically gone, it does kind of make me think, man, I hope we do get a scene where the Master basically walks out here like Yoda, It's like, oh, you think he's a crippled man or anything or something like that, But no, he still has his skills, and if he's the master of the Demon Slayers, that means he was on top. He was the greatest of them all, you know? So, I almost wonder as well, with the hierarchy, with the whole thing of the master, I'm, again, assuming the master of the Demon Slayers is the greatest of the Hashira. You know, they're leagues above the Hashira, too. I almost wonder if it's kind of like a Sith thing, you know, just without the evil part, where it's like, you know, every Sith is stronger than all that came before because they have to defeat their master. That's the whole point, is you have a Sith, they have an apprentice, their apprentice has to get better, defeat the master, then they get an apprentice, they get stronger, defeat their master, and it's just this constant laddering, basically, until, you know, you get to current Sith, you know, Palpatine, Darth Vader, and it's like, yeah, they are the strongest that the Sith has ever been. And I would almost wonder if the Demon Slayer masters are almost like that, you know? Like, if each one is still stronger than the last one, you know? I don't know. Look, I mean, it's basically, I'm asking for power levels, I'm asking for power scaling, which in anime is kind of a fool's gambit. Even in shows that specifically ask for that, like Dragon Ball or something, like, power scaling should not really be a thing. It's such a difficult topic, you know, for anime. And the main thing is, it's whatever the author wants, you know. In this, it's a big challenge for Uzui to defeat Shaggy, because that's the story that he's telling, you know? So yeah, I don't know, because, and I mean, I guess the other thing with that, too, is maybe the reason I kind of want to see, like, what is the hierarchy of the Hashira, like, in terms of power. I guess just because that is also the case with the demons, you know, the 12 Kizuki are specifically ranked, you know? So, I don't know. Like, I guess it brings up the question, like, because Akaza is rank 3 and Shaggy is rank 6, does that mean Akaza is stronger than Shaggy, you know? Even though, technically, you know, Rengoku was about to win that fight. You know, he got really close to winning that fight. Whereas Uzui is struggling. Granted, Uzui's, well, I say Uzui's poisoned, but Rengoku was pretty injured too, you know? So I don't know. It's just an interesting thought experiment. And of course, we haven't seen much of the other Hashira. We've seen Tomioka, Shinobu, Rengoku, and now Uzui. We haven't really seen much of the others in terms of their power. I'm sure we will throughout the rest of the show, but I'm curious. And so there's 9 Hashira. We've seen 4 of them already. If I were to guess in terms of power, of the 4 that we've seen so far, I would probably put Rengoku at the top, you know, just because of what Uzui says about him. Even, he kind of says it too about Tomioka a bit, you know, because he props up all of his other Hashira, you know. So I would probably put it as like Rengoku, Tomioka, Uzui, and then Shinobu, just because Shinobu, you know, she even says, you know, she doesn't have the power to decapitate a demon, but she is a Hashira for, you know, her skill, and especially her skill with poison, you know? So, honestly, you would kind of think that Uzui's ninja wives would fit that really well, you know? That sort of style of, you know, they don't decapitate, but they can still do a lot of damage to a demon, so that's kind of how I would probably rank in terms of power the 4 we've seen, but it is kind of arbitrary as well, so I don't know. Anywho, I love the 3-on-1 that the boys had against Daki. I thought that was good. I love mixing in all of their different techniques as well. And then I love, I mean, I don't know. I was going to make a joke about Daki, like, you know, taking it from 2 different directions, but now I've said it, so I guess I did make the joke. But I love, it kind of seems dumb, but it's so perfect with his swords that it's like you can't just have a solid slice through. So he just, uses them like a saw and slowly just cuts her head off, I thought that was really funny. Like, that is truly taking advantage of the design of his swords, So that was really cool. I like that. And then, yeah, it was kind of funny when he's just, like, running off with her head, It's like, I'll get far away from here, and she's all pissed, So, that was funny, but then, yeah, Shaggy got up, stabbed him. There's new problems everywhere. So, yeah, problems, but I don't know. Man, this has been a long fight, I gotta say. This has been a long-ass fight. Like, how long have we been doing this fight? Like, since episode 4? Maybe 5? So there's about 5 episodes so far, and we've still got 2 left in the season. Jiminy Christmas, man. Alrighty. But yeah, curious to see where we are going next time. But that is basically it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of my Demon Slayer reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.